So I usually wanted to put this video out on May 3rd when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 came out. But that did not work out at all. So let's just not waste any more time and start the video. Hello out there, today I'm building something I wanted to build for quite a while. I am showing you how I made Star-Lord's blasters from Guardians of the Galaxy from just cardboard. Also, you can find the templates as well as a list of tools and materials I recommend in the video description. I started the main top part of the blaster with this piece from thick cardboard. Thick cardboard is twice as thick as regular cardboard, so you can also just make thick cardboard by gluing together 2 times regular cardboard. Then I glued on 4 more pieces on each side of the base piece. Piece number 1 is made from regular cardboard, piece number 2 is made from thick cardboard, piece number 3 is made again from regular cardboard, and piece number 4 is made from a thin cardboard. I took all 4 plates, inverted them and glued them on the second side. The main bottom part of the blaster is made the exact same way. 1 base plate and 4 more plates on each side. Plate number 1 is made from regular cardboard, plate number 2 from thick cardboard, plate number 3 from regular cardboard, and plate number 4 from thin cardboard. For the handle, things doesn't change, and here I also begin with 2 base layers of thick cardboard, followed by piece number 1 made from regular cardboard, and piece number 2 made from thin cardboard. Both pieces get inverted and glued to the other side as well. You can see here that I smashed the cardboard on the front part of the handle with my fingers to create an extra detail. Next, I peeled off the top layer from a strip of regular cardboard. I used this sort of paper to glue it to all the areas on the main top piece where you can see the corrugation of the cardboard. After the peeled cardboard is glued on, I had to remove any excess using my knife. To create a rounded edge on the top of this piece, I cut the peeled cardboard in small strips. Then I glued these strips on one side and kind of rolled them over to the opposite side where I glued them on. This process also has to be done on this part on the bottom of this piece. So this is how the main top part of the blaster looks like, all covered in peeled cardboard. And I also covered the bottom part of the blaster in peeled cardboard and made those rounded edges. Now it's time to cover the handle in peeled cardboard as well. It works the exact same way except for these tricky rounded parts at the top and the bottom back of the handle. To also get these rounded, I simply used even smaller strips of peeled cardboard and glued them tightly next to each other, as you can see in the video here. And this is how the finished handle looks like. To start the barrel at the main top part of the blaster, I took a strip from thin cardboard and curved it up. I then used superglue to put this strip in place. This little support piece is made 2 times from thick cardboard. It is meant to hold this strip I made from thin cardboard in shape. Speaking of that, I curved the strip up and glued the ends together on the support. Then I put superglue only onto the strip and glued it in place. Next, I glued on this piece from cereal box cardboard and cut off the excess. Then I used 2 strips from cereal box cardboard and superglue to cover these small gaps on the side. I covered the corrugation of the barrel with peeled cardboard, and this is how it looks. The barrel of the main bottom piece of the blaster also starts with a similar thin cardboard strip, which I curved up and glued on. Then I took a 1.7 cm long and 1/2 inch wide PVC pipe and rolled on a 1.7 cm wide strip of cereal box cardboard, followed by 3 more strips. Every strip is 1.5 mm smaller than the one before to create an important detail. And that's how the piece turned out. This piece is then glued in place. Same as with the other barrel, I covered all the gaps with cereal box cardboard. There's this extra piece for the handle which I made from thin cardboard. I took a second similar version, curved it up and glued it on. After that, I took a thin cardboard I got from a cereal box and glued it to this piece. I cut off all of the excess, and with that, the piece is done. Here you can see where the piece is going to sit in the end. I glued 3 times on top of each other this small detail piece I made from thin cardboard. I also covered its edges with peeled cardboard. To make that silver knob that sits at the back of the blaster, I glued together two 2.3 cm wide circles from thin cardboard and covered the edges in peeled cardboard. I then took a 1.9 cm wide circle from thin cardboard, covered it in peeled cardboard and glued it onto the other circles. I stacked up 3 1.5 cm wide thin cardboard circles, glued a version of cereal box cardboard on top and covered the corrugation with peeled cardboard. I made the same piece again, but without the cereal box cardboard circle. And then I glued those 2 pieces together, but made sure to not press them together so that there is left a little gap for detail. I glued on these 3 more circles from thin cardboard. If it's too hard to read in the video, I put the sizes of them in the template. Next, I took very small strips of peeled cardboard and glued them on to create a slight beveled edge, as you can see in the video. To finish this piece, I glued the 2 parts together. And you will need 2 of these pieces for the blaster. Now I took this piece from regular cardboard and glued on the same piece from thin cardboard on each side and the same piece from cereal box cardboard on each side. And the corrugation of this piece is also covered in peeled cardboard. I took the same piece again from regular cardboard and glued on 2 versions from thin cardboard on each side, as well as 1 version from cereal box cardboard on each side. This next piece is made from 3 times thick cardboard, with 2 versions of thin cardboard on one side and 1 version of thin cardboard on the other side. Just like the other pieces, there is a version of cereal box cardboard on each side and the piece is covered in peeled cardboard. And the last piece of this kind is made from 3 times thick cardboard, with 3 versions of thin cardboard on one side and 2 versions on the other side. And it gets, of course, covered in peeled cardboard. Next I took this piece and covered the corrugation in the curves on the sides with peeled cardboard. I made this piece twice and glued it to each side of a 2.2 cm wide circle from regular cardboard. Then I glued 2 regular cardboard circles to each side of this new construction, followed by a thin cardboard circle on each side. It was a bit tricky to cover this whole piece in peeled cardboard, but I got it done after some time. And I think this piece turned out well and looks pretty similar to the original. And there are 2 more pieces of that kind. I stacked up 10 2.2 cm wide circles from thin cardboard to create this piece, which is around 1.6 cm thick. Of course, I covered this piece in peeled cardboard. For the next piece, you can see me gluing together these 2 pieces from thin cardboard with 2 small holes at the bottom, followed by 2 circles from thin cardboard and 2 more circles with these small holes at the bottom. Lastly, I added 2 more circles from thin cardboard on each side. And that's how it looks, all covered with peeled cardboard. Then I made 5 1.9 cm wide thin cardboard circles, covered their corrugation and glued them together. Here I also made sure to create gaps between all 5 pieces by not pressing them together. I made 3 pieces like this in total. By gluing together 6 2.2 cm wide thin cardboard circles, I created this piece. I made 2 more 1.9 cm wide thin cardboard circles, covered the corrugation on them and glued one of them on this piece. And the other one on the piece we just made. Then I glued 2 2.2 cm wide thin cardboard circles on top of each other, covered them with peeled cardboard and glued them to the new piece. I took this 1.7 cm long half-inch PVC pipe and glued on a strip of cereal box cardboard using superglue. Finally, these are all the pieces needed for the whole blaster. For the stand, I made this plate and this second plate, which has holes for the holders, a cutout for the plaque and large holes for the blaster to sit in. On top of the second plate, I glued on a version from thin cardboard. Then I covered the corrugation of these large holes with peeled cardboard and glued this plate to the first one. And all the edges of the stand are covered in peeled cardboard. The plaque is made by just gluing a strip of zero-box cardboard on a strip of regular cardboard and using more peeled cardboard to cover the corrugation. For the first holder, I glued 2 strips of thick cardboard together. After that, I glued a thin cardboard strip on each side and covered this piece in peeled cardboard. The second holder is made the exact same way, except the strips are less wide. And I made each holder a second time. To hide the uneven spots of the cardboard, I spackled every piece using sandable spackle. I applied it bit for bit with my finger and smoothened it out with water. Don't use too much water or else you will wash off the spackle. Also, pay attention to not cover any important details with spackle, like the 5 little holes on the side of the 2 main parts of the blaster. After all the pieces dried overnight, I started sanding them down using a 120 and a 240 grit sandpaper. Make sure to sand everything evenly and stop sanding when you can slightly see the cardboard underneath the spackle. Cause if you sand off too much spackle, you will damage the cardboard and we don't want that. I also decided to not apply filler primer on this prop because the acrylic paint kinda acts like a filler, especially when you apply more layers. But if you want the smoothest results possible, you can apply 2 layers of filler primer on all pieces after sanding. Before painting, I glued this little piece to the handle as I showed you earlier. I also spackled the gaps between the handle and this piece and sanded it down. Now I started the painting process by painting the handle with black acrylic paint. I then glued on a zero-box cardboard square to make the trigger, which is also painted black. The 2 main parts of the blaster are painted with a couple of layers of silver acrylic paint. Once the paint dried, I glued this strip of zero-box cardboard on the bottom of the main top piece of the blaster. Then I used the template to draw all these lines on the blaster. After that, I used masking tape to mask out the area which gets painted in a dark silver color. Just as I said, the masked out area gets painted in a dark silver color. I also masked out the dark silver area on the main bottom piece and painted it. Next, I glued on these 2 pieces on the main bottom part of the blaster. They sit 2 centimeters away from the back end and also get painted dark silver. Finally, I pulled off the masking tape to reveal the clean edge. I also painted the insides of both barrels black. I then painted all of the pieces you can see here with black paint. On this particular piece, I glued 2 small zero-box cardboard circles on each side and painted them black. The same goes for this piece, except I used slightly larger circles with a hole in the middle. This rounded piece is painted in the same dark silver tone as I used on the blaster. Next, these knobs as well as these pieces get painted silver. Then I used a marker to mark a dot every 8 millimeters on top of this knob piece. And that's how these dots should look like. Now the remaining pieces you can see here get painted in a gold color. And this little tube gets painted dark silver. The stand and the holders get both just painted black. And the plaque gets painted with a couple of layers of silver. Then I cut out the letters from this template but left some small threads to keep parts of the letters in the same position, as you can see here. Next, I took my pencil and traced each letter to the plaque. And that's how it looks after I removed the template. To finish the writing on the plaque, I took my marker and colored each letter. And I think it looks a lot better than my previous handwritten plaques. To start the weathering, I took a watered down black paint and dabbed it on the main top and bottom parts of the blaster. I immediately dabbed it away with a paper towel and repeated this process as much as I wanted on the pieces. I then put a very little amount of silver paint on my brush and went over some edges and the dark silver part on the blaster to create more weathering. This method is called dry brushing, and I also use this on all the black pieces. Then I dry brushed the handle, but made sure to not go on too heavy. Originally the handle has a carbon fiber pattern, but I didn't figure out an efficient way to do this. It's pretty difficult because the handle has many curvatures. So I guess hydro dipping is an option, but I don't know if that works with cardboard, and I also have no idea how to do it. So I just painted the handle black and dry brushed it. I then glued this silver piece to the shown gold piece, followed by the clean gold piece without any details. I made a second similar piece, but used the golden piece with the 4 little holes, and these holes need to face down. I weathered both of the pieces and glued them to the black piece with the 2 little screws. Then the slightly thinner black piece gets glued to the new piece. I took the last one of these silver pieces and glued it to the remaining gold pieces. After that, the whole thing is weathered and it gets attached to the remaining black piece. Lastly, this dark silver rounded piece is attached to the construction we made before. To create that burnt metal effect on the front of the blaster, I used the same technique as with the weathering, except I used yellow, red and blue paint instead of black. It worked out pretty good, and I did this for the 2 main parts of the blaster. To finish these pieces, I used a marker to create all the detail lines the blaster has. To start the final assembly, I glued this small tube on the bottom part of the blaster, followed by this piece you can see here. Then this big piece gets glued to the top part of the blaster. The 2 knobs sit at the back end of the main top and bottom piece. And lastly, I used super glue to attach the handle. Now every piece for the blaster is glued on. I quickly finished the stand by gluing all 4 holders in the holes on the stand and also attaching the plaque at the front. And I think I now know why the video took me so long to make, because I built a second blaster. But yeah, Star-Lord's blasters are finally done. As always, thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and consider subscribing if you want to see more of my videos. Check out my last video, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me them in the comments. And with all of that, I'll see you guys soon.